to education. How this right is being exercised in Nigeria in respect of girl-child education is the subject matter on our file tonight. Good evening and welcome to Weekend File. Now, the girl-child education is becoming a major part of discourse in both academic and political spheres in Nigeria. All perspectives to the analysis on girl-child education issues point to the need for the girl child to have equal access to education as the boy child, or be privileged to freedom to pursue academic aspirations. According to UNICEF, Nigerian children below 15 years of age, accounting for about 45% of the country's population, do not attend any primary school, particularly the girls, making the gender gap in school enrollment very wide to the proportion of girls to boys in schools ranging from 1 girl to 3 boys in many states of the Federation. Current analysis states that about 30% of pupils, especially the girls, do not complete primary school cycle for some reasons that may include child labor, teenage pregnancy, poverty, and early marriage. Some commentators advocate compulsory education for the Nigerian girl child, irrespective of religion, tribe, or cultural background. And in tonight's edition of Weekend File, we will examine the crucial issues in girl child education, identify socio-political and cultural patterns, and of course, religious misconceptions militating against it in Nigeria. My name is Kirian Umayo, and this is Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. I want to thank you for finding time to join us on the show tonight. And right here, the news comes first. President Muhammadu Buhari says unless African leaders resolve to speak with one voice, devoid of foreign influence, their dream of achieving economic integration, peace, and genuine prosperity on the continent will remain a mirage. This was at the bilateral meeting with the chairman of the African Union and Guinean President Alpha Conde in Istanbul, Turkey. The State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president also had similar engagement with the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shahid Abbas.
Meeting on the sidelines of the just concluded D8 summit, President Muhammadu Buhari and his Guinean counterpart Alpha Conde exchanged views on a wide range of bilateral, regional, and other international issues of mutual interest. To this end, President Buhari maintains that African leaders must learn from history and unite to effectively tackle conflicts, violent extremism, as well as proliferation of small arms and light weapons for sustainable peace and security on the continent. President Alpha Conde, who advocated for stronger economic cooperation between Nigeria and Guinea, applauded what he called President Buhari's great job on anti-corruption and his strong voice on African issues at the international stage.
There are so many problems on the continent, even in our own West Africa, and they discussed extensively Togo, Cameroon, they discussed South Sudan, Libya.
They really look up to Mr. President, they look up to Nigeria, and they want them both to be much more present in solving a lot of the problems in Africa. You know, he reiterated the fact that Mr. President has been appointed as the champion for anti-corruption for next year, and is hoping that this will also help galvanize African countries to address the issues of governance.
In the meantime, Nigeria and Pakistan have expressed regret that in spite of their similarities in population, size and challenges, so little has been done over the years to take advantage of each other's experience and embrace one another for mutual benefits of their countries and their peoples. This was at a bilateral engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria and the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shahid Abbasi.
The relationship between Nigeria and Pakistan is a story of missed opportunities. This is clear from this bilateral discussion. And both leaders have now agreed that they are going to ramp up, these relationships in all sectors.
The determination is now there to increase the trade between the two countries. So the channel of communication has been opened at that highest level.
Indications are that high-level visits will now follow between the two countries. From Istanbul, Turkey, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari says regional integration is imperative for socio-economic and political development of Africa. He said this while declaring open the Africa Regional Conference of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association in Owerri, Imo State. Bichi Sanyam reports that the president was represented by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo.
President Yemi Osinbajo explained that integration is key to strengthening democracy in the African region. He identified weak educational and healthcare systems, climate change, restiveness and poverty as challenges militating against the realization of Africa Agenda 2063.
National and regional plans and programs. What we've not been able to consistently do is to put action behind our words and visions. But time is not on our side. The countdown to the Africa of our dreams has since started. Whether we take any radical developmental steps or not, 2063 will inevitably arrive sooner, in fact, rather than later.
Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha urged the parliamentarians to use the conference to legislate on issues that will yield positive effects on African youths and provide free education for African children.
We are passing through a very difficult moment which many great nations of the world have passed through. We are not an exemption, we are simply writing a story. But one day, in this our lifetime, we shall take our rightful place.
The President, Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and Speaker, Imo State House of Assembly, Acho Ihim, explained that the devastating socio-economic and political crisis in the continent can be reversed through the enactment of legislations that create harmonious environment.
It is widely believed that conflicts, terrorism, war, weak institutions and lack of good governance create the conditions that hatch poverty and underdevelopment in Africa.
There were goodwill messages from Senate President Bukola Saraki and other African parliamentarians. From Imo Trade and Investment Center Owerri, Beatrice Anyam, NTA.
Nigeria's ambassador to China, Baba Ahmad Jida, says the success of the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China provides the platform for Nigeria to consolidate its partnership with China. Ambassador Jida spoke with correspondent Makut Samon Macham in Beijing.
The National Congress of the Communist Party of China, which holds every 5 years, is one event that is keenly followed around the world, not only because China has 1.3 billion people, but also because China is the world's second largest economy. Nigeria's ambassador to China, Baba Ahmad Jida, says Nigeria has so much to learn from the People's Congress.
Let us learn some lessons from the CPC convention. Orderliness, politics without bitterness, seriousness, patriotism. These are the indices that govern the CPC. We have our ruling party, the APC in Nigeria. We have our manifesto. We have a credible president. All that needs to be done is for us to take charge of our responsibilities. Let us really work hard on corruption.
The ambassador also says China continues to demonstrate significant goodwill towards Nigeria as President Xi Jinping has great respect for President Muhammadu Buhari. In Beijing, China, I am Makut Simon Macham, NTA News.
And back home, the Nigerian Air Force has conducted an aerial attack causing damage to Boko Haram terrorist structures and neutralizing most of the terrorists. A statement by Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Olatokunbo Adesanya, says the attack took place at Uga, close to Konduga in Borno State. The aerial attack by the Nigerian Air Force is in furtherance of efforts at ensuring complete decimation of Boko Haram terrorists. Now, the Nigerian Air Force, in another development, has redoubled its commitment to reposition the force through professional and discipline for effective, efficient and timely deployment of air power in response to Nigeria's national security imperatives. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar reiterated this at the inauguration of machine workshops and trainers at the 131 Engineering Group Makurdi in Benue State. Olajide Bello has that report.
The resolve to reactivate the Machine Tools Workshop is not only to demonstrate the Nigerian Air Force commitment to add value to maintenance facilities, but also in line with Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar's vision on robust logistics support and maintenance culture. The import of this driver is to increase self-sufficiency, reduce dependency on foreign maintenance of military hardware, and also save foreign exchange for the nation.
The reactivation of the machine tools by our technicians and staff of the University of Maiduguri is in line with government's drive to improve local capacity in defense equipment production and maintenance.
Air Marshal Abubakar says the force will continue to place premium on strategic partnership for enhanced research and development.
Earlier on, we fabricated the bottom tube through partnership with University of Ibadan. Currently, more than 6 research projects are going on in partnership with universities and research institutions in the country.
Commending President Muhammadu Buhari for his unwavering support to the armed forces despite economic realities, he pledged the Air Force's continued loyalty towards defending the territorial integrity of Nigeria. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
And now to education. The Afe Babalola University at Ado-Ekiti says implementing the core values of education development through robust academic research is imperative for Nigerian universities to rank among the best in the world. Founder of the institution, Are Afe Babalola, made the remarks at the 5th convocation of the university, where 83 students bagged first class. Michael Olale reports.
A total of 870 students graduated with bachelor degrees and 42 with postgraduate certificate, 85 bagged first class, 386 went home with second class upper division, while 289 were awarded second class lower division. The university believes it has come of age considering its numerous achievements in 7 years.
We have started a change, a crusade to change the world. You are part of the crusaders.
Remember, all we have taught you here, we will stand you in good stead to stand out as staff.
The philanthropic gesture of the founder was demonstrated as the academic and professional dexterity of staff, parents and students were rewarded.
I love programming, I code, I like building startups, and what I want to do is leave a dent in the world.
I have seen what this university stands for. She has been able to live by the values of this university.
We can see the contribution of private universities to the development of the country.
The Chief Executive Officer of Project Cure also registered his name in the compendium of ABWA's Vision in Motion as he was conferred with the degree of Honorary Doctorate of Medicine, while former Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, NUC, Professor Peter Okebukola, bagged the award of Doctor of Letters in Ado-Ekiti. Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Now we move to politics. APC key players in Adamawa State have endorsed President Muhammadu Buhari for the 2019 general election. He was endorsed at the summit held at the banquet hall of the Government House, Yola, from where Yusuf Jeka reports.
The summit had in attendance elected public office holders, appointees, APC party officials, elder statesmen, philanthropists and the general public to review the achievements of the state and the federal government and deliberate on the way forward. Chief of Staff to Adamawa State Government, Abdurrahman Abba, enumerated some of the achievements of President Muhammadu Buhari to include restoration of security, law and order, provision of infrastructure, giving hope to the hopeless and improvement of the economy. To that, the stakeholders, led by Senator Silas Zingina, moved for the endorsement of President Muhammadu Buhari and Governor Muhammad Umar Jibrilla to continue with the good legacies come 2019 for better and stronger Nigeria. This was adopted by all stakeholders.
That the President is hereby adopted and mandated by our state to seek re-election and contest for second term of office in order to continue with the successful implementation of the manifesto and government policies as already ably achieved by the APC government.
In his remark, Governor Muhammad Umar Jibrilla, represented by his deputy, Martins Nasir Babale, maintained that President Muhammadu Buhari has put the country on the right path and underscores the achievements of state government, revealing determination to invest more on human capital development. In Yola, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
Now, members of the All Progressives Congress APC in Taraba State have resolved to work together in the best interest of the party and continue to support the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration. This was at an interactive session of Northeast Zonal leaders of the party and members from the 16 local government areas of the state. Awal Abdullahi reports.
Zonal leadership of the All Progressive Congress, led by Chairman Alhaji Mustafa Salisu, were in Taraba State on a familiarization visit and to encourage the members on the need to be united in the quest to make the party into a biggest political platform in the state. Taraba State Acting Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Alhaji Sani Hassan Chul, said they are working hard to ensure that the party stays united and wins over more members to its platform. Other speakers at the event outlined measures that should be taken to ensure that members do not feel aggrieved or victimized. In his speech at the occasion, the Northeast Zonal Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Alhaji Mustafa Salisu, assured that all members will be given a sense of belonging in the party's fold. In the general populace, members of the party in the National Assembly from Adamawa, Borno and Taraba State, as well as the APC's executives from Bauchi, Gombe and Yobe State also attended the interactive session. In Jalingo, Awal Abdullahi, NTA News.
Well, thank you for staying with us on Weekend File up to this moment. About 10 million children are said to be out of school in Nigeria, and girls represent a higher percentage of this number. The situation clearly negates the good old saying that the woman is the foundation of the home, and that when you train a woman, you train a nation. Correspondents' reports from across the country will give a clearer picture of what the situation is in states and local governments in some states in Nigeria. This is Weekend File, your weekend companion. We'll be back in just a moment.
From 1967 to 1970, Nigeria went through a horrifying civil war. It didn't matter who was wrong or right. Everybody suffered. Those who fought that war say it should never happen again.
So a lot of people will say, but you were leading the first one. Yes, I led the first one. I don't think a second one is necessary. We should have learned from that first one. Otherwise the dead would have been to no avail, would all have been in vain.
The words of our elders are full of wisdom.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Dettol team is visiting schools to teach children how to protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold? No! They are spread through germs on your hands. Your hands collect germs that causes diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap to protect from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is wash, wash, wash your hands with Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
This is the game I've been waiting for, and I get a headache. But I remembered Mom's advice. When headache strikes, I always trust Sudrex. Because Sudrex acts fast to relieve headaches. Sudrex, win your day.
Availability, check. Confidentiality, check. Integrity, check. Transformation in action. The 6 years of Governor Abdul Aziz Abubakar Yari in Zamfara State clearly manifest good governance and foresight. In fact, transforming the agrarian state to the promised land. Welcome to Zamfara, a state being governed by a visionary and dynamic leader whose magic finger is touching every aspect of human lives. No wonder Abdul Aziz Yari is being referred as agent of Buhari's change mantra. Yari is bringing development closer to the Zamfara people and the nation at large. Zamfara, the pride of the nation. This message is brought to you by Iowa Media Group.
Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Chief Obafemi Awolowo.
These patriots worked together to achieve independence for one united Nigeria. Although some may say Nigeria is a mistake, we all know that the Almighty never makes mistakes.
God has not made a mistake by bringing us all together in the way that He has brought us together. God has put us together here so that we can build a community that will be an example to the entire world.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Welcome back. In recent years, quality of education has significantly improved, but there are still several issues with the girl child education. In our background report tonight, Olainko Ojo takes a look at challenges and prospects of girl child education, believed to be on an investment in preventing diseases, reducing poverty and violence, and generally impact on national growth.
All that, there are about 1 billion girls the world over, with Nigeria inclusive. Out of this figure, 10.5 of them are out of school, with Nigeria having about 60%. The International Day of the Girl Child, first marked by the United Nations in 2012, is set aside to highlight the challenges of gender inequality and promote support for the girl child. In Nigeria, access to education, hawking, discrimination, rape, prostitution, genital mutilation and early marriage are some of the issues faced by the girl child.
I feel disturbed when I see my fellow girl or student walking on this road.
I feel terrible because we are not protected. We are not being given what we deserve. We need to be more valued.
Educate the girl's child and not just marry them off at a very early age.
With the theme for this year, Power of the Adolescent Girl, Vision 2030, analysts say it is becoming worrisome thinking about the increasing speed of child molestation and sexual harassment by friends and relatives, hence the need to prioritize education for the girl child. Another area of worry about the plight of the girl child is daily utilization for daily services in the home of their peers, caring for other children of their age or even younger who are perceived to be privileged.
For the girl child to get good education, we need to understand where they are left behind.
Relationship between education and development is critical because of the number of younger ones growing up.
And it's building those foundations at the beginning that allows them to grow and be successful, develop the confidence.
Both federal and state governments have been urged to intensify action aimed at improving the life of the girl child, as Africa needs a continent-wide commitment for the education of the girl child. Experts also believe that the full implementation of the Child Rights Act and all laws that support the full development of the girl child will make a difference.
Promote advocacy that drives government policies that support access to safe and sustainable menstrual solutions, and also ensure multi-sectoral collaboration.
As we look ahead to 2030 with the hope that Nigeria's performance in terms of Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) will be adequate, it is expected that the nation would have achieved 50-50 parity for the girl child, as well as exploit the full potential of the girl child. In Abuja, Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
Thank you, Olayinka, for that report. Moving ahead now, poor financial power and lack of political will to develop functional educational policy have been identified as the bane of girl child education in the southwest Nigeria. This was part of findings by Olayinka Folarami from that zone.
Enrollment of girl child in schools in the southwest, according to experts, has received maximum awareness among parents and other stakeholders when compared with what obtained some decades back.
In the olden days, generally, parents, they don't reckon with girls. What a man can do, a woman can also do it beautifully. In this part of Nigeria, we don't so much have much problem with the girl child education.
However, an early childhood and educational foundations expert at the University of Ibadan, Dr. Omolola Kayode said a recent study on girl child education in the states in the southwest was quite revealing.
The latest is we have more girls enrolling in schools now, but we're not where we're supposed to be. We still have a lot of girls working. We still have a whole lot of girls being engaged in child labor, so others are being used as house helps.
She agreed that Southwest is ahead in terms of geopolitical zones differences, in terms of education of both boys and girls, but seeks solutions to some of the impediments to achieving desired results.
The government of this country will have to look closely and work towards free education. People are still talking about Obafemi Awolowo because of his free education policy, and it was at that time that everything worked well in this country.
Policymakers in the education sector, especially governments, are told to motivate teachers who are faced with non-payment of salaries and to fully implement 2015 United Nations Free Education for All. In Ibadan, Olayinka Folarami, NTA News.
Now, women and children are said to be mostly affected during crisis, and to this end, the Nigerian government, civil society groups, as well as non-governmental organizations have taken interest in their well-being. It is in the same vein that Women Initiative for Empowerment of Less Privileged held a one-day work empowerment program for students at the government secondary school, Duse, in Abuja. Hakimat Aliyu tells us more.
Research shows that women and children, especially the girl child, are the groups mostly at risk during crisis. This prompted the collaboration between Women Initiative for Empowerment of the Less Privileged, WELP, and other NGOs, with their advocacy centered on ensuring the needs and rights of women and the girl child. The program, tagged Square Up, focused on the problems girls and women face in conflict zones, particularly in Nigeria. Representative of WELP, Esther Odekina, said, as a result of existing gender inequality and discrimination, the girl child is more likely to drop out of school and suffer from violence, discrimination, and exposed to sexually transmitted infections during crisis.
Crisis they face in case of those challenges. Some of them withdraw to themselves. They will not talk to anybody. They keep crying. You see them lamenting.
Sometimes when the economy of the family crashes, it's a crisis, and the girl child becomes vulnerable.
Emphasizing dignity and self-esteem as a watchword for every girl child, the students were also sensitized on how to guard against being victims of violence or sexual abuse.
The program have helped me to know my rights and helped me to know my stand as a lady.
I've learned how to be conscious of myself and my environment, how to maintain personal hygiene.
Work hard, try to endure, persevere with all the problems or crises you are being subjected to.
The event is in commemoration of the International Day of the Girl Child, which is observed globally every 11th of October, with the theme for this year's celebration as Empower Girls Before, During and After Crisis.
It is a full hall of young, promising and impressionable girls, all whom organizers of this event say adequate.
Well, that reports from Hamisat Aliyu. Now, the enrollment rate of the girl child into schools in most eastern states, as reported by Amaka Owo, it indicates that there's increase in enrollment, and of course it's because of enlightenment and favorable government policies. However, some scholars, according to her, have raised concerns over factors militating against proper access to education of the girl child, and the need to address these challenges. Amaka, as I said earlier, has that report.
In the past, the Nigerian girl child faced significant obstacles in accessing proper education due to inherent traditional and societal beliefs which confine a woman to the home. Over the years, there has been a shift due to societal reawakening and favorable government policies which placed no barrier in educating the girl child. In Enugu State, recent figures from the Post-Primary Management Board on school enrollment for 2016 and 2017 academic year reveals that 131 schools recorded higher population in the girl child enrollment. The state government adopted a basic education law that considers it an offense for any child to be out of school.
So when a parent or guardian goes back any child, be the child a girl or a boy, there is a punishment for such parents.
From Oka in Anambra State, investigations reveal that a decline in girl child education is prevalent in about 7 local government areas, which some government officials believe necessitated the move to give free tuition and incentives to schools in the affected areas.
With some huge recommendations about maybe about conditional cash transfer, where we can give money to the parents in to trade, if you like, their children, to allow their children to go back to school, where we can do heavy investments in giving them school bags, practically funding all their education.
In Abia State, it was a submission of respondents that issues bordering on the girl child should be included in the school's curriculum, while those guilty of violation and abuse of a girl child should be made to face the wrath of the law.
This context back home here has suffered a lot of deprivation, possibly due to our culture in the earlier days.
Other education experts have stressed the importance of educating the girl child as a contributory factor to societal change and the development of the entire nation. In Enugu, Amaka Owo, NTA News.
You are watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. A specialist on child care from UNICEF will be in the studio in a short while to address some of the issues raised by our correspondents from across the nation. Do stay with us.
Employment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem promptly through revival of agriculture.
30K is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Now you can find Coke Studio in your Coca-Cola bottle. Simply check under the crown for a code, dial *505# and send the code to download exclusive music, coloring back tones and wallpapers of your favorite artists.
Catch the show on AIT every Sunday by 6 p.m. Promo exclusive to MTN subscribers only.
Coke Studio, where music meets.
This is the game I've been waiting for, and I get a headache. But I remembered Mom's advice. When headache strikes, I always trust Sudrex. Because Sudrex acts fast to relieve headaches. Sudrex, win your day.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
The production and distribution of counterfeit medicine and adulterated food products have negative impact on our health and economy as a whole. I urge all Nigerians to support NAFDAC in safeguarding our health. God bless Nigeria.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
And just before we bring in our guest on the program tonight, let's bring in this report from Onengia Fineface, where he says that the unfavorable cultural practice, stereotype, influence of money, early marriage and poverty are some challenges hampering girl child education in South Nigeria.
Stakeholders in Rivers State say the practice of some cultural norms place the girl child as second class to boys, who enjoy more attention and access to education from their parents and communities.
Early marriage is one of the challenges we are facing. Then two, child hawking. Some parents use their girl child to, go hawking, and they expose them to sexual advances, unwarranted sexual advances, to even rape.
Such other issues as training the girl child to grow to be a wife rather than become an adult with dreams to achieve, as well as the transference of burdens of family finances on girls, contribute to their improper education compared to their male counterparts.
There are deliberate attempts even in some communities to ensure that the girl child does not even go to school, that the place of the girl child is running around, selling things on the road, going to the market, going to the farm, cooking at home.
While governments at all levels have critical roles to play in the inclusion of women in governance, parents and wards stakeholders say have the duty to prepare the girl child for leadership through access to education.
If you educate a girl who will later grow up to be a woman, you are educating a nation. Because when she had children, she will be the teacher, she will be the nurse, she will be everything.
Respondents insist that girl child education is also beneficial to boys, since educated girls will become educated mothers, equipped to positively impact future generation of children. In Port Harcourt, Onengia Fineface, NTA News.
All right, and in the studio now with me is a child protection specialist from UNICEF, Ms. Sharon Oladiji. You're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you. Good evening.
All right, thank you also for being here this evening. Now, I take it you understand the Nigeria's education policy or system, being in Nigeria for a while now. The national policy states that the access to education is a right, for a girl child or boy child, as that case may be. But now, to what extent would you think that the policy has impacted on girl child education in Nigeria? Or simply put, what is your assessment of girl child education in Nigeria?
Simply put, if you look at all the problems, you can just package them maybe in 3 baskets. I call one the gender discrimination, inequality, and very weak knowledge base of, the people, the government, the parents, that all that are involved in implementing the policy. I think this is the problem with a girl child education. If you all that's been said, if you unpack them, you see a lot of gender discrimination. You see a lot of inequality. You see a lot of ignorance and weakness in understanding why the girl child should be educated. For me, these are major issues that if we must do anything, we start with that.
Okay, now we've raised a number of factors, from reports and of course the introductory aspect of this program, where we raised some, so I want to share that with you. What are those factors that are militating against this in Nigeria? Of course, we've had the grand experience over the years about protecting the younger generation of people, of society, especially the girl child. So what actually are those factors you would like to share with us?
Let me start with the kind of society we run with, what I call the patriarchal society, where we have the male preference. This is the beginning, where the girl child, even from birth, is not appreciated the way you appreciate the boy child. We have incidents of parents or fathers that will go to the hospital. Who is this? Is a girl, and he will turn back. So this is where the problem started from. So the fact that appreciating the girl, the potentials of the girl, the esteem of the girl, and what that girl can become when you educate her is what we need to start with from the home, from the community. Now, when we move further to that, you want to look at the education system itself. You have to look at the enrollment rate. We know that more boys are still enrolled than girls. We see how more boys are still preferred to the girl. We still have early marriage. We have all these negative socio-cultural factors that is affecting educating the girl child as we're talking. So this is what I think is a bane of where we are. In some parts of the country, you have early marriage, you have girls not being in school. In other parts, you have issues with even inheritance for the girl. We have poverty, we have inability to even pay school fees. On the part of the government, we have policies that we're not giving free education to the children. And the part of the parents, we have parents who just have 20 children, 10 children, 15 children, and not thinking of educating those children. And basically, you have more girls that will not be educated in the family than in there. And then we have influentials in the society, in the communities, that can come out to defend the girl child, and that is not doing it. That's what I can say for now.
All right, I already started feeling for you. Now, the issue of gender inequality in the educational sector in Nigeria has been a subject for debates for decades now in this country, and the large disparities, appear not to have been adequately addressed. What is your judgment? How can this be addressed?
Gender inequality.
Yes. In education. Because that's the...
Gender inequality in education, let me throw it back to the media. The media is powerful to create change in any society. If we have the media coming together, raising issues, raising programs. When I mean media, I'm talking about the electronic, I'm talking about the radio, I'm talking about the television.
As we're doing right now.
Yes, and there are places that people listen to their radio. There are communities where there's no television but their radio. This is where I think we want to start from, changing behaviors, changing thinking around educating the girl child. Because parents that don't send their children to school do not know better. But when we put it on their faces and begin to shout about it, talk about it, create programs about it, do documentaries, bring out people who have failed, women, bring out people who have succeeded, bring out women, bring out girls whose lives have been impacted by being educated, bring out girls whose lives had gone down the hole when they were not educated. When we do documentaries, when we bring traditional religious leaders that we respect to begin to talk about it, maybe we can change a few of these things. And then we localize the program, because across the country, the level, the stages are different. If you have early marriage here, you have another problem here, you have another problem here, you have discrimination here, you have gender inequality here, you have early marriage here. So we create programs based on a local content to be able to create change. We talk to parents. There are many parents that don't have parenting skills. They don't even believe in, as we're talking, they don't even believe in sending the girl child to school. There are some parents that think it's a bad luck to have a girl child. Talk less of providing. So all these things, for me, we can use the media to create a lot of change in the psyche of the nation.
All right, just as we're doing right now, yes. And, before your comments, I talked about the fact that it's been in public domain for a very long time now, for decades now. Now, some commentators advocate free and compulsory education for the girl child.
Yes.
Is that a possibility?
It's possible. You know, Nigeria, we're so dynamic. It is possible if we have the will. We call it the social will, we call it the political will, we'll call it the parenting will, to say that we can do it. I so much believe in Nigeria, and I so much believe that if we set out to do it, if our leaders set out to do it, if we have the civil society, if you have the UN organizations, you have the parents themselves to say we can do it, I believe we can do it. If the media backs it up, for example, you can have, for the next 1 year, give that girl education, give that girl education, give your girl education, give your girl, every day, every time, every week, every month, all over.
Now, how could this work? Because education is on the concurrent list, you know, that means that both federal government and state government, you know, are directly involved in the education sector. Now, how would that happen when it comes to, you know, the structuring of this free education? Is it going to be a federal program or state program or a combined kind of
combined
program?
You said it. You see, the issue federal state, we're talking about the child. Wherever we have placed them is not the issue. The fact is it's a task that if we set our hearts to do it, we can do it. Because the federal is involved, the state, they're involved, the local government are involved, communities are involved, parents are involved, the children themselves are involved. So I don't think the dichotomy of federal and the state is the issue. The issue is a will and the capacity. For me, Nigeria is capable of educating their girl children.
Free and compulsory education for the girl child.
Yes, it's happened before, where if you want to go down the lane, where many were educated at that generation. And that generation is still keeping up the momentum. We lost it somewhere. And I think we can pick up the pieces as a nation.
Now, what should be the role of traditional rulers? You raised a very pertinent issue that has to do with the role of parents. Now, those who choose to sacrifice the education of their girls for the boys, especially when there is perhaps a economic crisis. Now, what should be the role of traditional rulers?
This is it. Let me give an example of polio in the north. When there was the traditional institution, high-ranking, high-level stepped in, and it was successful. The same thing. During the time of the HIV and AIDS, you noticed that we had in the media influential religious traditional rulers talking against it. Today, it's not the same story. That's what I think. We listen to our leaders, we listen to our traditional leaders, we listen to our religious leaders. If we can garner their support to begin to speak about it, parents listen to the traditional rulers, parents listen to the community, parents listen to their religious leaders. If we can, you know, get them as champions, as vanguards, to begin to speak about it. Because if you look at what it takes, I think Nigeria economically is capable to create resources to provide education, free education for the girl child. If we have these traditional institutions backing it up, visiting, I mean, the government, at the federal level, and saying, let us do this, let us do this, let us do this to our girl child, I think we can get there.
All right, Ms. Sharon Oladiji, we'd like to thank you for sharing your time with us, and of course your thoughts, which of course I know has gone a long way to convincing even the traditional rulers and parents to see how we can turn things around for the girl child in Nigeria.
And the media. All
right, just last way of doing. Thank you, Ms. Sharon Oladiji. She is a child protection specialist from UNICEF. This is Weekend File. We'll be back in a moment.
The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, the Made in Nigeria campaign. In the midst of unprecedented multiple challenges, our great country Nigeria, as Africa's largest economy, is surely marching on to a new era of all-round prosperity, especially through re-engineered and diversified economy, powerfully driven by the change agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR.
We will patronize local entrepreneurs. We will promote the manufacturing powerhouses. Our objective is to make Nigeria a new manufacturing hub.
It is not time to complain. It is time to join the campaign. It is time for economic recovery, growth and diversification of our economy by Made in Nigeria.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
To sports now, another Lagos Governors Cup Tennis Championship ends with foreigners cutting away all the prizes as National Swimming Trials for Africa Zone 2 Junior Swimming Championship begins at the National Stadium Lagos swimming pool. Details of this and more with Adiola Omokibi on our sports update.
It was a repeat of the first phase women's singles final between number 1 seed Connie Perel of Switzerland and number 4 seed Denis Kazadiuk of Israel. But this time around, Connie Perel won 7-6, 6-3 to emerge champion again. In the men's singles final,